My name is Marsha Chan. I'd like to welcome you to the session called Methods, Materials, and Motivation in an Accent Modification class. And the one that I'm teaching now is online. And so I'd like to get a little idea of whom our participants are and what you teach and what you bring to us as a shared experience.
I'm Andrea Spector from Santa Monica College, and I teach an online pronunciation class.
So Andrea, at Santa Monica, you've been teaching the pronunciation online for
4 years.
4 years. Okay, so she's my go-to person.
Teresa Gordon, I teach at Columbia College.
Columbia.
I'm an adjunct for 10 years now, and for 2 years I've been teaching Spanish totally online.
Spanish totally online. Okay, for 2 years?
For 2 years. Before that, I had a hybrid class for a couple of years that it didn't work out so well. I teach face-to-face still also.
Okay, great, great.
I'm Carol Raytan. I work at City College of San Francisco, and I've been teaching online French for 10 years.
Carol, and San City College on the credit side, the San Francisco credit, and French?
Yes.
And you've been doing that?
Online for 10 years.
Online for 10
I've been
years?
doing it
Wow.
not online for longer than that.
Yes, yes. Okay, great.
And I'm from Mission College in Santa Clara. I've been teaching
And this is
online
Betty, you forgot to say.
for 10 years. And I'm here because I always learn something from Marsha.
Well, Betty is great. She teaches accounting, and she's been doing that for many, many years. So all of you teach online. That's great. I wasn't sure who I'd have in my audience, so I'll just give you a little background about my distance education involvement. Way back in the 1980s, maybe before you were born, we had one-way video, two-way audio. That was an ITFS system, was in some sort of a television thing where colleges were supposed to try to reach either other satellite campuses or businesses in the territory, and there would be cameras inside the room feeding out to somewhere outside, and the only way you interacted with your outside participants would be two-way telephone. I never had anybody call in, but I had a lot of students in my class. So it was a face-to-face class that had 3 cameras in it, one on me, one that was above on me with the whatever I was projecting from, what I wanted to project from my lectern, and then one on the students. So then somebody else, pushed this over.
Were the other students in a room at another college?
Well, see, I never knew whether there were really any other students enrolled because it was kind of an experiment to try to get involvement, and it was actually being used, I know, in other disciplines. For example, I know at the time that we had our fire scientist who was delivering lectures on campus and out to all the fire stations. So that was a really good use of that particular system. My involvement was to see whether there would be, and then I think they cut it off and they started doing something different.
Did it go on TV? Or, I mean, did they feed that signal someplace?
Well, yeah. So the system was made so that it would feed into the TVs of, for example, the one I just gave, into the fire stations in various locations. So the guy who was doing the emergency medical EMT, he was doing it with his dummy, I guess. I had real people, so I didn't experiment on it.
It could have been fed into a classroom.
Right, that was what it was supposed to do. But that was my first experience being on camera and having a lot of interaction that was videotaped and so forth. And then later on, I got involved in online, which at the time was really narrow modem-based stuff. And it was like I went to a modem-based learning conference. And just to say those words sounds really strange to me because it was, yeah, that was I would say late and maybe early 90s. And then after that, there was a little bit more open, wider, broader band stuff, DSL, that sort of thing. And I was involved in those sorts of things. I was the first online instructor at our college. We were doing an experiment, and then an English teacher came on board, and she started teaching, and then we started proselytizing. Come on, faculty, we should get involved in reaching our students who are not necessarily coming here on campus. I believe so. And I remember at that time, not only was I using email, but at that time there was a separate quiz site, so I would have links to that quiz site where I built quizzes. Then I had my separate Mission College web page. So I'd have all these things that I had to, sort of navigate and have students learn how to go through these different portals. And then eventually our college got a CMS. So our course management system, early days was Blackboard Lite. And then how long have we had AngelLearning now? We've had that for N number of years. So now, of course, everything's much more robust, and I use as many functions inside of that course management system. So how many of you use course management systems? You all do. You use Blackboard? Use Moodle? eCollege. And of course,
Whatever the Pearson publisher.
and you use whatever your publisher uses with your
Used to be Blackboard, but now I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. So at Mission, we're college-wide, district-wide, we're using AngelLearning, but not all instructors use it, and some instructors may not use any CMS, and some may use others that are related to their publishing materials. I started using CCC Confer. I don't know how many years ago. How many of you use CCC Confer?
I've had lots of training.
I've had lots of training too.
You have lots of training. Okay, but
I plan to.
And you plan to implement it?
For office hours starting in the fall.
Okay, so you're going to start using with your students. Okay, all right.
I have one desktop seminars on it.
I'm only a participant.
Okay. So as a participant, right, but not as a moderator who's actually controlling all of these things. Okay, so I use that. I'll show you some of the things that I've done with mine. Also, I'm always looking for ways to do oral communication, of course, because I'm a language teacher, and you are foreign language teachers too, and you know how important it is to do things that are not only text-based, but also have the ability to have listening and speaking. Along the way, I did a lot of audio podcasts. Sometimes when I taught off campus at sites outside, I would be working with medical health workers, and they wouldn't always be able to get off the floor and come to class, and so I recorded myself and I put them up on audio podcasts, which who knows which cloud they're on now, if there's still any more cloud left. I was part of the team that co-created and co-instructed our West Valley Mission Community College District online teachers certification course. So we did that like in 2007, 8, and 9. So I've been involved in distance ed for a little while. So the first course that I taught that was, I guess, distance ed, but certainly not online, was the one-way video, two-way audio class. That was my intermediate pronunciation and listening. And as I said, I don't think it really went anywhere but I used the technology was used to record my class, even if we didn't have any credit-taking classmates outside. And then for a whole long time, maybe 10 and a half years, I taught the grammar and editing class at the top of our ESL scale. And then I stopped teaching that. I began to teach a lot of face-to-face classes, beginning level, intermediate level, and so forth. And just recently, I started teaching again online, and I decided I would do it with the accent modification. So at our college, we have, in my ESL program, we have a lower level basic pronunciation class, an intermediate pronunciation class, which has been there forever, and then an accent modification, which is our highest level pronunciation class. So I do this by having, it is online, but I also offer them an orientation session at the beginning. I urge them to come. Nothing is, just like everything else, you can say required, but if they don't come, they just don't come. But I try to, put up information for them to get it if they miss that particular session. I also hold a face-to-face midterm and one face-to-face final. And then I do several live web sessions doing that with the CCC Confer system. So that's really great.
So Marsha, if you actually have a student enrolled that couldn't get to your campus, can they do a proctored exam somewhere else?
Well, I haven't had that happen because what I've done is I've had them do it with me on CCC Confer.
The exam?
Well, because this is oral.
Oh, of course.
Okay, for my oral. Yeah. So for So for my grammar and editing classes, I did not require any proctoring. And I learned to know their voice. You know how it is as a writing teacher, we know the voice of students after we've seen their writing for a while, and we know whether it's them or not them. So I didn't have, and also it's not a course like English 1A, which you have to pass it, and if you don't pass it, the gate is higher than it is for my particular course. There was a spike in a little bit of dishonesty when my course became a gate to English, but that was relatively minor, and I didn't have too much trouble other than in one particular case.
Is it still a gate to English?
ESL 970 grammar and writing and reading and listening and speaking are prerequisites for ESL students to get into the pre-1A English course. So yes, it still is. I'll probably go back to teaching that online, in another year or so. But anyway, in terms of accent modification, then we're really concerned about the oral aspect, right? So unlike many other courses where reading and writing are primary methods of communication, a course focusing on oral skills requires a lot of auditory and a lot of spoken interaction. So those were new challenges for me. I was pretty good at all the other stuff, and so now I want to add this component to it. So in addition to all the methods that I used in my grammar and editing class, I also thought that, it's really important for me to incorporate speaking and listening. I consider what kind of materials are available, what kind of methods to use, and what I could do to help motivate teaching and learning strategies within this kind of environment. Because, there's a lot of doubt first about online teaching, period, right? I mean, we still have colleagues who say, how can you ever teach online? Don't you still have students? Yeah. And don't you have colleagues and also learners and ministers who say, and teach a language online? Oh my goodness. And then you have the even pinnacle of it, and teach oral language online? So,
As a non-language person,
right.
I've been wondering how you do.
Right. Okay. So as an accounting person, you don't need to talk to your students, have your students talk back to you. So it's a whole new area. How many of you have learned a foreign language? Yes. Okay. And has it been in face-to-face classes? So you're all nodding. It's been face-to-face. Have any of you tried learning through audio cassettes, audio CDs? Yes. Okay. A couple of hands are up. How many of you learn with video? You learn watching videos? Okay. Nobody watched videos? A little. You liked them. Oh, you're saying you didn't learn. You liked them. Okay. What about podcasts? Have any of you done any of the kind of newer methods of learning where you join a group? I'm just saying, for example, ChinesePod.com is or SpanishPod.com. These kinds of where you download a podcast and you have a lot of resources online and you have social interaction. Have any of you tried that?
I listened to the ones for the language I teach, but I haven't.
Okay, so you've learned about them, you know about them for the languages you teach. You personally haven't ever had to learn the language that way because you.
I tried doing a group, another language, in some kind of internet group, but it went away after a while.
Well, I wanted to promote this, and I know especially, because there is a lot of doubt, right, in the general population, and also among English language learners, ESL students, people who are new to the culture, new to the country, have a hard time speaking on the phone because you can't see somebody's mouth. You can't see their facial expression of their body language to help understand what the message is. There's a lot of doubt there. Could I possibly learn something like this online? Maybe not so much of a fear of it when you're doing a grammar class, that's word-based. You type words and you put them in order and, you mush the words around and you edit and you cross out. So, but doing the stuff orally, there's a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, those of you who work with students learning a language know that the way you sound is part of your personality. And making changes into that has some effects on how you feel about yourself, too. So anyway, I decided that I would make a promotional video. Would you like to see it? Yeah. Okay, I'll play it here. Okay, so let me show you. This is my Pronunciation Doctor YouTube channel. I I make lots of videos. From way back then, you saw I was in the classroom being videotaped during my classes in the late 80s. So I'm used to being on video. These are public. So this is pronunciation. So youtube.com/pronunciation doctor is my handle. That's my station. Currently, I have 900 videos, 101 subscribers, 44,000 video views, 140 countries, so forth and so on. So this is my channel. I also have a lot of playlists. So I have playlists for College Oral Communication Book 1, which is another one of my books that I use in another listening and speaking class. English for Childcare. You heard a few tunes while I was trying to check out the sound. And Phrase by Phrase Pronunciation and Listening, which is my pronunciation book with audio and video. So I put these tracks up here, and I also have playlists that specifically specifically highlight the work that students do, my recordings of student performance. So you can see students in these various and sundry classes. Okay, so here is the video that I'm going to show you at this moment, and this is the one that is called English Accent Modification with Marsha Chan. Hello, are you a native speaker of a language other than English? Do you speak English fluently, yet with a foreign accent? Does your accent ever cause miscommunication or misperception by other people? If so, perhaps you would like to modify or change your accent. Do you ever feel like your tongue is too long, or too short, or too stiff, or too slow, or just doesn't move the way you want it to when you speak English? Do you ever feel that your ears are too small or too dull to hear the difference between leave and live, between mop and map, or between fuzz and fuss? Do you need help perceiving the difference between "it's a nice day, isn't it?" and "it's a nice day, isn't it?" Do you have a tendency to pronounce all of the syllables in English with the same length? If so, you could clearly benefit from learning to perceive and pronounce English with American stress, rhythm, and intonation. Well, lucky for you, the pronunciation doctor is in. I'm here to give you a prescription for speaking more clearly. I'm going to give you expert guidance and extensive practice in refining your oral production and listening skills. I'll put you on a regimen. Let's start with the ears. Let's make them a little bit bigger. I'm going to help you train your ears to hear the sounds, the phonemes, the consonants and vowels of English. These are the segmental features of English. And we'll do some exercises to notice, to perceive the elusive and invisible suprasegmental features, prosody, stress, intonation, and rhythm, the music of English. We'll take a close look at how to adjust the mouth to modify the sound, the accent that you produce. We'll examine the effects of how you move the jaw, the cheeks, the lips, the nose, the teeth, the tongue, and the glottis. we're going to check your breathing. Yes, you'll learn how to use your breath to produce an American English accent. You'll perceive differences in accents such as these. I'm pushing my paper, and I'm pushing my paper. I'm going to train your vocal apparatus to produce the English sound system with greater control. I'll give you a recipe for improving the stress, rhythm, and intonation patterns in English. You'll increase your ability to perceive and produce the melody, the tune, the music of English. When you improve your oral skills, you'll gain more confidence when you speak. People will understand you more easily. You'll be able to improve your opportunities in education, in business, in your social life, and in your professional life. How will I modify my accent in a distance education environment, you ask? Pronunciation Doctor has the answer. You will use excellent materials for asynchronous learning, online software, videos, audio, text, recording on the web, all designed specifically for enhancing your listening discrimination, pronunciation, and accent. Also, I will hold seminars on the web. We'll use our webcams and microphones to hear and see each other and our learning objects in real time for synchronous learning. To register for my accent modification class, please visit my website for more details. I use my iPhone. Do you like that? Oh, yeah, I designed several scripts, and I use iMovie to edit the movie. Say it again, please. Well, some of them will write to me and say, I saw your video online. So I don't know whether that was the first step. But I've had people write to me with that information. So, maybe that's how they found it, and then they found me at my college. It's possible. So what I do is, right, like, for example, students they pre-register for the class, right? Now, some of them, in my face-to-face class, they know I'm going to be teaching and they're looking forward to this. But some of them, they may not know me at all. So I will go in periodically, like when I get 10 students signed up, I will go in and to our system, and I can email the students. So we can all do that, all instructors. We can go through we can get in the roster and email the students. So I can email them and say, here's a video, take a look at it. And actually this video is on another page that I have within my own website, which tells their prerequisites and how to sign up if you're a new student, has links to the new student registration and test taking and blah, blah, blah. So I do have that embedded in another page for students to look at. So it's possible that they learned about it that way. It's hard to know exactly what way students find out about it, but that was one of the things I wanted to do, to let students know how they might do it, because learning online is a new idea for many students. I mean, most of the students who have taken any of my ESL classes online, most of the class has never done it before. Very few have taken another class before. And, of course, nobody ever done the pronunciation one because it was the first time that I was teaching it. I did have students who were from out of the area. They heard about me from wherever, from their teachers who knew about me and that I did all this stuff. And so I got some students from other areas, but I don't know whether they did it through the video. Anyway, so that's the way I kind of bring them in. I talk a little bit about it, and I just wanted to tell you that what I chose is a textbook with DVDs and audio CDs, and as a disclaimer, it's a book that I wrote, and the DVDs that I produce, so I know what's on there, and it's like a teacher in a box, right? You get to see all the instructions there. But I also chose another piece of software that has an online version, so that it has everything that we have this in our lab on campus, but there's an online version where the students can do everything on the cloud, and then there are ways for me to find out what they're doing and get their scores. So, in my course portal, I have the things you probably normally have, like the syllabus, your weekly assignments. I have discussion forums. I have drop boxes for them to put their. Sometimes I have them write things, but most of the time I have them record. So they might drop their recordings in there. I have quizzes, some of which are formative quizzes where I get to assess how they practice as many times as they want, and then I have some where they take it and that's the score that goes into their grade book. I put out handouts. I like them to do course mail within that system because then it helps me know that those are student related and related to this particular class. I do course polls, and I post links to the archived web sessions that I do in Teach and Confer. And of course I have external links, so I have the external link that goes to the pronunciation listening software that we use called Connected Speech, and it runs off of a server called Clarity English, and it happens to be in Hong Kong. Then I had to know that because when I wanted tech support, they were asleep and stuff like that. So I just had to stay up late. No. The students purchase the license, right? And so nothing is run through the cloud. Everything's run through somebody else's cloud, and then the students are just linked to it. Right. A lot of materials, you can buy access to the book. You can buy access to the software, and you have different packages that you can do. Now, Voxopop is a free voice-based e-learning, and so that's what I use a lot for having students record. And then I'll show you something about that. You guys know about VoiceThread, I guess. Some of you have been to the sessions about VoiceThread. So it's, in a way, it's like that because you record voice, but it's not as robust as VoiceThread. So I'll show you some samples of it. CCC Confer, some of you are you're familiar with it from participating or having taken training. I'm going to show you what it's like. I'll show you snippets of archives that I've done with this particular class. And then I already showed you my YouTube channel. So I have links to these external sites within my course, so they can go into AngelLearning to our course and then get all of these links. They can go outside by themselves also, but just make it easy for them to enter in one spot. Now, as I mentioned, I have an online orientation. I have it for 3 hours, and I do it in a computer lab. And I do the normal things we do on the first day of class, go over the pedagogical objectives, what the course is about, what the expectations are. The students always ask, so do we have to do any homework? Yeah, right. Okay, hello, you're in college. Okay, so this is a 3-unit class, and if in the schedule it says 3.4 hours a week, then I say multiply that times 3, and you get your Carnegie unit ratio of 2 hours homework to 1 hour in class. So I said you can expect to spend approximately 10 hours. And I don't mean 10 hours online. Some of the hours you're going to be spending are with the book, with the video, with the audio, with listening to yourself and reflecting. Some of it will be recording online, and some of it will be doing the software online. Some of it will be you'll be talking to human beings and practicing your pronunciation and making reflections and assessing and adjusting your accent. So, I try to let them know that those are things that would count towards their accent modification. It's a 3-unit class, right? And I also give an orientation to our course management system because some of the students are new, or maybe if they are already students, their teacher before never used it or didn't use the same features that I use, so I go over that. And it's nice if I have students who are returning from my class because then they know a lot of the situation and they can sort of help out the other ones in the lab when we do the hands-on. And then I demonstrate the course materials. Now, of course, books are easy. They understand how to open up a book, and they usually understand about how to stick a CD or a DVD in a player and play it. So I don't usually talk about that very much, although I talk about the sequencing and how to use the materials to the best of their ability, and how to, if they want to take the audio files and put them on their iPod, that's a really great thing to do, so that they can walk around and do their jogging and listen to, the foreign language, their target language while they're doing other tasks. I do need to show them the connected speech online software because that interface is really different, and they need to know how to navigate it. They need to know that there's listening parts where they have to listen and mark, and they record, and there's a learn versus test mode. Learn is like practice, 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 and test, that's when the score goes into the grade book. So I have to tell them. No, well, I'm doing this in person. So that's what I do face-to-face. That's what I do face-to-face when I do the orientation session. Oh yeah, that's a good question. I have tried to do orientations where I record, not with this particular class, but I find it's too hard to do everything because usually you know what it's like on the first week of class at a community college. You know, people are adding, people coming in late. Is this the right room? Hello, is this the right teacher? You know, like I don't know how, I haven't even registered yet. Oh, you have all those things to deal with. So I, to date, have not done that because there are just too many things. Without having a moderator, it's very difficult to do. Right. No, without, yeah, right. So, yeah, next time we at community college get teaching assistants, then I'll do that. Okay, so let me know when that's happening because then I will sign up for one. But so far, nobody's come walking through my door yet. So although I had the intention of doing it, it was just too difficult to handle every face-to-face live issue. So I didn't. And instead what I did was I made a lot of materials and put them in a Getting Started folder that I put online in the course management system. So, right. But then you find out that the people who do face-to-face hands-on is so much better than reading a document because you just can't, you know what it's like. Do people read anymore? It's hard. Now, one of the things I always like to get them started on is how to use Voxopop because, there's the things that you have to know about your computer. I have them. I say you bring your laptop if you have one, but some students don't have laptops. They use a desktop at home or wherever, or they go, and I say, okay, then that's why you have a computer in front of you now. And I'll show you how to. You have to know something about your sound panel and how to make sure that you've got your external mic selected so that your voice is recorded from the mic and not from wherever, like from an internal microphone. How to log on, how to create a user. Those are the important things. So Voxopop is another station. So each one of these other places, you have to have your own user. You have to have your own user ID and password. So they have to make up a user ID, they have to make up a password, and they have to put some sort of either photo or icon to show that it belongs to that's. So I do that part in a lab on orientation day. Then I show them how I'm recording. I say, this is how I'm recording. I have to make sure to allow, sometimes we have this knee-jerk reaction when somebody says, when Microsoft says to us, oh, we have this app. Do you want to run it? We go, click no. I say, so when you see that, and it says Voxopop wants to run the applet to record, you need to say allow. You need to say yes. I always have to tell them that so that they don't say, I can't record my voice. Nothing's going well. So you have to allow it first. And then when you allow it, then the recorder will load. And the reason I chose this app is because before this, I taught students how to use a different recorder. But then you're teaching them too many things. And by that time, they're tired. And so am I. And then we haven't even gotten to our content. What is our content? So I wanted to get to a place where they could do a recording without having to download any software because those issues would be just, too many. So that's why this one doesn't require software to be loaded other than, in the background. They can record their voice, and then they can listen to all. And I want them to have the sense that they're not speaking to the teacher. They're speaking to the whole class. And in fact, if it's a public place, they're speaking to anybody who walks in and listens to this particular talk group. Okay, so I also organize for midterm and final meetings. Now, I know some of you do that. Like Betty, you always have midterm and finals for your accounting. So you watch your students do and they're doing paper and pencil. Is that right? Okay. So in my class, they have some listening portion, and they can do that part online. And I don't make them show up for that. But the part that is oral, they have to be there so I can know that they're speaking. And they're not reading, whatever. They're not like having pre-recorded it and then play a tape. So that could be a way to, not really do the thing live. So I would like to see some live version of it. I also find that, it gives the face-to-face communication, you just can't beat it for motivation, for bonding, the sense of community. allows me to do a lot better instruction and correction on the spot. Whereas when I get recordings, and then I spend hours typing up all of this commentary, and then I give it back to the student, and then I find out, well, some students read it and they give you a thanks afterwards, and some students just park it. And to them, the recording was done so long ago, they don't go back to it. This is one of the things I learned when I had my face-to-face. I asked them, I said, this is the first time I'm doing this class. What improvements would you suggest? So one of the things is they said, well, we'd like to see you more often. And, basically they want me more often. But it's kind of hard to do that. So they liked being there present on the midterm. I wondered if would that bother them or not? I was wondering, would that bother them that they had to come on campus or not? But they really liked that part. I could give them more encouragement and, guidance and, doing both the formative assessments and the formal kind of, this is for your grade, the summative assessment. I did some game-based interaction, so they had role-playing and they had stuff where they do listening and speaking, and during that time I could go around and, monitor and give guidance. Their performance, for example, these pictures show the students doing a game. And this is a look in the lake pronunciation card game, which is a game that I created. And it helps them practice listening and speaking skills. And it's scalable for students at higher or lower levels. And you can see they're having a good time. They may feel, gee, I didn't think I would come to a class and play a game. What's this all about? Kind of like smirky. And then they get into it and they go like, wow, this is really good. This really makes me listen to my classmates, and we have to communicate well. I do record them. I do a lot of recording of my students. So I record their performance. If they're giving a speech, I record them, and then I post it, and then they get to watch themselves, and they get to watch each other, and they do comments and evaluations. I give them a rubric for doing some sorts of feedback. Well, usually what happens is they do comments for themselves, and then they do comments for the other. I may collect them and then, anonymize them, right? And then give the feedback and say, I won't say, Teresa said that Amanda sounded crummy. I won't say that. I'll just take Teresa's comments and I'll put them all together and I'll include Betty's comments and whoever wrote comments about it, and then I can deliver that out. So then I can say, it's a good thing because where we live in Silicon Valley, you're not going to be speaking to people like me very much. You're going to be speaking to people who look and sound like you a whole lot, and they don't know. You have to be able to understand each other. So it's important to understand different accents as well as try to improve your own clarity of speech. So you might as well get used to trying to do that. It's both a listening and a speaking, process. So so I do try to give them feedback. That's not only from me as the expert, but also from others who are not expert, but the ones who would be commonly interacting with you. Now, on our course homepage, this is just an example. On mine, I designed it so that on the left side I put up course announcements, which change as we're going on. And you can see here that I posted a teach and confer invitation and told them what time and where to show up. And this one is Angel. Yep, and you have the ability as the owner of the site, the instructor, to change whatever you want, put them in whatever order you want. And then I always put course mail there because I prefer that students contact me via the Angel course mail, and they have access to a description of the course. So in my lesson section, which is the main section that they go to, there are different folders. For example, in Getting Started, and there's assignments. Don't ask me where the assignments. Do we have homework? Yes. Just look in the assignments folder. Yes. Then I have a folder for archives of the CCC Confer sessions. I have a folder for discussion forums, a folder for Dropboxes, a folder for quizzes. In any given semester, I may create a new folder depending on what I feel like that semester. For example, Getting Started has a lot of material that I created for the students who came in late or they didn't get it because there's so much new information on the orientation day that it's hard to remember everything, right? Even if you did have a little hands-on, you still don't remember it. So I created a lot of documents with screenshots to show students how to step through it. So those are available always in Getting Started. I'm always referring them for the first 3 or 4 weeks to that folder.
I find that
Uh-huh.
I have many things in the study model, almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
I need to really rethink it.
Yeah. How many things you should stick in there? And how many, yeah.
What I would do is how to combine some
Right, right. That is because it can be overwhelming to students to see that, oh my goodness, I need all of this to get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Now, some of the students know how to do discussion forums, but some of them have no clue. And every bucket is different. You know, you go into Blackboard and it's different from Angel and it's different from Moodle. So you kind of need the step-by-step how to do it. So I have a document that I did with screenshots to say how to click on this and so forth, and look at what the instructions say. What does the teacher want you to do this time? And here, click these buttons to get to where you need to go. I also have a document, it's a kind of like a long 18-page PowerPoint on how to do connected speech. And this is because I wasn't able in that 3-hour period to get through how to use the connected speech online. And I didn't realize how hard it was for students to navigate this on their own. And then I realized how hard it was because I kept getting questions. So then I created this, very, very thorough page where I gave lots of examples how if you click this, then you will get a screen that looks like such and such, and you might get one where you have questions and speech bubbles and you need to pull the answer, drag and drop the answer in here. You might get a page where you have blanks and it's a close. It's a listening close. You listen to the passage and you drag the word in, or it might be a written close. You just read and figure out which word goes in there. You might have, all different kinds of exercise. So I try to give the different exercise types. And then I also show them where they click a button to get to their score. So they can see how their scores go into the scoreboard. And I can, as a teacher, I can pull up all the scores from all the users. I can, there are all different ways that I can get through to find out what they've been doing. And then I've been manually taking those scores and putting them into the grade book in Angel. For Voxopop, again, even though I've shown them how to do it, I try to give them a visual handout, a PDF of what it looks like and how to sign up for it and go through it like that. Okay. Assignments, you guys are familiar with giving your students assignments. So I do it week by week, and each one of these weeks has stuff in it. So here's an example, a sample assignment, phrase by phrase. They study Chapter 10 using the book videos, and I always coach them to use their mirror for pronunciation. Voxopop, they need to record the previous lesson, Chapter 9, and listen to their classmates. Connected speech, they're supposed to do a particular lesson. And then in the discussion forum, I ask them to reflect on what they learned. Because when you don't know whether they're actually reading the book or doing the assignment. So I say, pick one thing that's really important to you that you think you really want to remember and know, and post that. So that's very interesting. I think it's interesting to know what the students reflect on. And some may reflect on the content of a story, and others may reflect on pronunciation points. So that's very good. I do have the video instruction. There's a lot of it on Pronunciation Doctor channel. And I show them where that is, and if they want to use it, that's fine. But if they have the DVDs that go with phrase by phrase, then they may skip this part. But there is a link to the playlist for the students in the class. So if they want to see their own videos, they don't have to go hunt for it. They can basically go to that playlist, and they'll see the students who are in that particular class. Now let me show you Teach and Confer. I think you might be familiar that, for oral communication, you can do telephone or you can do voice over internet protocol. Yeah. So I do VoIP. It used to be a big problem. Now it's not. Now it's, broadband is a lot better, a whole lot better. You can do text chat. The whiteboard is where you can draw and make notes and load your PowerPoint slides or any images you want to put up. There's application sharing, so you can share whatever application you want with the students, or you can share your whole screen, your whole desktop with them. Then there's a web camera feature where you show them yourself, and you can also turn on their cameras. Polling, you can ask them questions and get information from them. And then you can do archives. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, there's a limit. The limit is 6. So you can have up to 6 at any one time. And then they can, one of the, I went to the the previous session on some new features in upcoming Blackboard 11 and 12. So this is the old one for 10. Yes, there's something new coming out, and there are many, many new features that sound very, very cool. And I think one of the cool things is that it will sense who is speaking, and it'll turn their camera on. It'll turn to them. So, well, first of all, you have to first allow the camera. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you say students are allowed to use their camera, and then second, they have to turn on their camera because some students don't want to show themselves, right? So if their camera is on, then the software will sense their voice, and it'll turn to them, and it'll show their webcam while they're talking and their name. Or if they have if they've uploaded their photo, it'll show just the static photo and their name. And if there's, nothing, they didn't upload anything, it will probably just show their username. Yeah, so that's new. I haven't done it yet. That's coming. That's coming. I'm looking forward to that. Because otherwise, as a moderator, there's so many clicks and things that you have to do in order to have the students interact and give them the mic and stuff. So that should be a lot better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a little tidbits of this. And actually, I did screencasting of it because otherwise it's kind of hard to find it within the archive. And this one is archive of a class that I gave in April.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Are you able to hear me? Hello, this is Kimchi. I can hear you. Hello, this is Junhoo. Yes, I can hear you.
Can you see them coming up on the chat on the left? Yeah. You see they're coming up over here?
Okay, I heard Kimchi. I heard Jinhui. Who else is here too? Is that? Press your audio button at the bottom left. When it's yellow, that means you can speak. Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay, so that's just an example of how students look when they start. Say it again, please. The whole session with them. I think it was slated to be an hour, but I am sure I ran over. I'm such a talker. I usually do that. Now what I'm going to do is, do you do sessions like that? Yeah. Okay, so an hour and a half is probably my max. I don't want to go over that. I took a segment. If you could, now I want to show you on the bottom of the screen right here. You can see that you can scrub right along here. You can scrub. You hit the play button. Here's the pause, here's the stop. And then all along here, it's possible for you to scrub to get to any point in the archive video. So this is a video, audio. This is also the archive of the whole session, right, that I'm showing you right now. So you can see I pulled it forward to something like 100 minutes. This is a session. And then I'll tell you, it'll show you this is 49, 49. Right? So that means that when students look at the archive, they can skip stuff like below. Yeah, like header. Yeah, right. And like some people, they can skip all the stuff that's not necessary, and then they can go back and look at the stuff that's, I need to do that one again. So they can easily do that. And here's one, you want to make sure your microphone is on and your audio is working. And then the thing that I think, just a coaching thing, is make sure you click the record button and stuff. Right. Sometimes I forget to put the record, and I think I'm archiving it. Oh my, wonderful pedagogy. It's not there anymore. It's like a real class. Or, another time, I recorded it and forgot to turn on the audio slider. So, there's so many things to think of. Yeah. But it's going to be easier. I just went to that session, and there's so many more things that are automated. I am going, whoopee!
And then there's some great training. You can sign up for them live.
Yes.
That's a different word. In other words, we stress a word that's different from the one that is expected. We imply a different meaning. So if I say, I gave her the money, what word am I stressing? I'm not using my hands because I want you to hear it. I gave her the money. What do we address? Second word? Give? Okay, this is the tricky part. Okay, type in your chat box. Type in your chat box the word that you hear as the loudest, strongest, focused word. I gave her the money. Okay, so we have a few different answers that I'm reading here. No, gave money, I. Okay, so when I said I gave her the money, the word that I'm stressing is I. All right, now, if I show you if I show you according to up and down, I'll say it again. I gave her the money. I gave her the money. So I want high, low, 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 low. All right, I want you to get up in your chair. Put your feet on the ground. Push yourself up. I gave her the money. I gave her the money. If I say it this way, what does it imply? It implies that somebody else didn't give her the money. For example, I gave her the money. You didn't give her the money. I gave her the money. You didn't give it to her. So she got money. Somebody gave her money. And you might have said to me, oh, it was so nice of you. I was so nice of your husband to give her the money. Huh, I gave her the money. Right? Not this guy over here. He didn't give it to her. Right? Okay, so this is used for contrastive stress, and it often implies something. Now, if I tell you, I gave her the money, you didn't give it to her, then from the grammar, from all the vocabulary, from that context, you know what the whole thing is. But the trouble is, lots of times in spoken English, you're not going to get that second sentence. Somebody will say that to you, and you won't understand it unless you can feel that stress on the I. If you feel it, you hear it, then you know, okay, that person wants to tell you who did it, not anything about giving it to her, and not the person, and not the thing, but who did it, all right? So that is what we need to listen for. Now I'm going to say another one. I gave her the money. Type in your box. Which word do I stress? I'll try not to move. It's tough for me, but I'll try not to move. I gave her the money. Type in your box. I gave her the money. Okay, in this case, I stressed, I gave her the money, right? I didn't give it to him.
So I'm going to pause that. Now, those of us who teach pronunciation, and we know it is very difficult for a lot of non-native speakers of the target language to hear and really feel those things that are not in writing. We call them supra and mezzo. They're not consonants and vowels. They're things they're the music of the language. And you can't see that. And that's why using the webcam is really useful. And when if they're used to learning a language text-based, they may not get any of that stuff. And they need this visual and physical aspect to help them out. I'd be happy to show you a Voxopop example. So this is voice-based discussions. And it's free. This goes to my Voxopop. It shows that I have been in 54 different discussions over the past several years. Clicking on talk groups will show you that I've been in 10 different talk groups, basically one for each class. And then I'm taking you here to the ESL 970 accent modification talk group. You see it's all connected with all the social media. This one was from my spring class. I'm going to demo for you the Chapter 14, Edison's Creative Talent. So their recordings are in this discussion thread. And you can see that there are 12 recordings, total of 23 minutes. There's a play all button, and there's also a stop button. There's also a button.
Hello, this is Marsha Chan. For this assignment, I'd like you to record the story, Edison's Creative Talent, from Phrase by Phrase, Chapter 14. Start with your name, the date, and the title. Oh, and yes, in the options box, please type your name and date. Speak phrase by phrase in thought groups. Pronounce the content words long, strong, clear, and high. Reduce the function words so they're short, weak, unclear, and low. Pronounce accurately the vowels A, as in say, E, as in every, and A, as in act. Take care when the words in the same word family exhibit sound and stress shifts. To show contrast, remember to stress, lengthen, and rise on the key contrasting words.
Hi everyone, this is Rehan Matou. Today is April 28, 2012. I'm recording chapter 14, Edison Creative Talent. Thomas Edison is recognized as one of the world's greatest inventors.
Good afternoon, this is Lina Maria Villegas, and I am recording chapter 14, Edison's Creative Talent. This genius began inventing things as a youth and kept on until old age.
Hi, this is Cynthia Pong. He invented the phonograph and the light bulb, now common devices. His keynote.
Hi, my name is Junhui Chen. It's a kinetoscope, later led to motion pictures. These are just.
Hi, it's Robin, recording Edison's creative talent. Edison said modestly, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration."
Hello, this is Kim Ji-Nguyen. Many people think there's a lot more to it than that. After his death, millions of Edison's papers were found. They tell a lot about his inventions and his creative process.
Hello, this is Wilber Nino de Guzman. Our relationships between things that did not.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being a great audience. If you have any questions, here's my contact information. And I hope the rest of the conference. You're very welcome.